What's going on, Nunners? It's your boy Terrell the Ascended. Before we get into this video, I'm gonna need you to drop a subscription, give me a like, follow your boy, help your boy on this YouTube journey. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Enjoy, guys. What's up, guys? It's your boy Turtle the Ascended. You know what it is. And today, people, what we got here is a nice little Tekken 7 tier list. Of course, this is strictly my opinion. I've got my reasons for where I have everybody, and I'm sure a few of my friends that know me will be raring to watch this one and ready to debate this with me later. But you know, that's what it's for. You know, get your opinions out there and stuff like that. So, without further ado, we can get into it. The first thing I'm gonna say, however, is only top 5 and S tier are ordered. Everything else is not really ordered. I have some inclination of how I'm doing it, but ultimately there's not really a specific order for everybody else. But top 5 and S tier, I felt obligated that I needed to order those. Okay, so I'm not really gonna go too far in depth on anything below S tier, but I'll give a general explanation for why they're in each tier. So D tier is for the characters that have a lot of weaknesses. They don't have a lot of strong points. Obviously, Rangchu won Tekken World Tour with Panda, but that doesn't mean the character is not weak, right? The character is pretty meh, honestly. There's a lot of characters you could choose that do the same thing Panda does better, like tremendously better. Obviously, Bear and Panda are pretty much the same character, so there's no reason to separate those two. Gigas. Just Gigas. I mean, there's not really much to say on him. He's big. He can do some stuff, right? Like the D tier can do some stuff, right? Just everybody above them does it better. Somebody above them does it better, way better, right? But like, it's still fun to play them. It's not like you still can't do some work with them, you know. So, C tier is characters that honestly got pretty overlooked in patches. I feel like I'm pretty sure Anna got some buffs in a few spots, but she's still a very high roll character, right? Like, she can die and live on a read, right? You go for something, oh, it got blocked, well, you're dead now, or you killed them. So and that's not really a great way to play Tekken, right? High rolling in Tekken is only going to work so far. She's a great tournament character. Again, Lucky Chloe, a great tournament character, but both of those characters are very high risk, high reward, or high risk, high death. You know, so Josie and Miguel, I just don't think these two characters are very good. Like, they can be threatening, but never have I ran into like a Josie or a Miguel or seen them in tournament and said that's a threat. Like, just off character alone, I'm just like, these two characters aren't really a threat, right? It's really just up to the player. Like, I've seen some Miguels win tournaments. There's a Miguel player. I don't remember where he's from, but the Miguel player does pretty well. Does pretty decent. But I feel like at that point you could just be playing like drag, you know? Like, there's a lot of other characters you could be playing that do the same thing. But I feel like it's like preference. Miguel has, like I said, Miguel has some stuff. Got some basics. Got a little dirt on him, you know? All these characters got a little dirt on them. You can mess somebody up with them, but I just don't think it's not as good, you know. It's that same. It's gonna always be. You're gonna hear that a lot. Like, it's just not as good as what some of the other characters can do. So, like Josie's extremely basic, a string-based offense, and there are characters with better strings. So, B tier, I thought about ordering this one, because I felt like there's some things that probably need to be explained. Probably the most key point is having Eliza, I'm going to use her correct pronunciation, Eliza, down in B tier, the little vampire meter chick. The reason I have her down this low is because this character is honestly not a threat without the wall. Okay? The character can be very strong. She has very good space control. But other than that, like, there's tons of characters above her that have good space control and don't need like meter to really do her stuff. You know, she has some cheeky stuff. Like all the B tier has cheeky stuff, but one thing a lot of these guys have in common is that they either have really cheeky stuff with no damage or have not a lot of cheeky stuff and tons of damage. Right, like Heihachi doesn't really have anything tricky. You just stand block everything, right, and then just try to react to the lows because there's not really much he can open you up with. But his neutral's very good. His space control is very good. So Nina, very heavy mix, not a lot of damage. Good wall carry, that's very difficult, but there's easier wall carry above her. So Leia, same thing, right? Can do some pretty good damage, a pretty good mix, very basic character, but there's just not enough for Leo. Leo's just not hitting the marks that he needs to hit. Noctis is B tier. I honestly wanted to put Noctis in A tier, but he's kind of a high roll character too, and there are characters that do similar things to him, believe it or not, that are better. Eddie, again, high risk, high reward though. He's a bit safer. Actually, I might move him up. Let me move him up. I think he's a little bit better than I'm giving him credit for. Because his mix is really good. His space control is really good. It's really hard to defend against him, right? As opposed to Lei, right? Lei can be difficult to defend against too, but I feel like the difference between going against Lei and going up against Eddie is night and day almost, just because I feel like Eddie is just in general harder to deal with because of relax. Of course, you can do similar relax shenanigans with Lei, but I feel like Eddie's space control and movement make him a little bit better at it. I honestly think Eddie's just a slightly better Lei. So that's just my opinion, of course. You don't have to agree. But again, very tricky stuff. Asuka's been around for so long. It's honestly just kind of a either you know how to fight her or you don't. If you know how to fight her, it's just not really difficult to deal with. Again, good space control and actually pretty good damage. But she has to work pretty hard to open up the opponent and do her stuff. She's very risky. So, moving on to the A tier. So, this will probably be where most of the controversy starts, so to speak. Not really, kind of, sort of, whatever. I do feel like the characters in this tier are very good. I feel like if you wanted to consistently win, you would play at least an A tier character. I feel like I said, you can succeed with most, if not all, the characters in this game, but I feel like an A tier character is really where you want to be. Sorry, I gotta re-loop my music because it stopped. There we go. Okay. So, A tiers. Oh, and for one of my homeboys, if you want me to mention Armor King. The thing about Armor King is he's just a solid character. Like he's just completely rock solid. But that's it. There's no dirt. There's no mix, really. It's just solidarity. Like, he's really good to just play Tekken, right? But not much else. But yeah, A tier characters are pretty strong. A tier and S tier characters, a lot of them can be interchangeable. So one big surprise will probably be that I have Yoshimitsu in A tier. The reason I have Yoshi in A tier is he can do a lot in good hands. Like, obviously, we've seen iMusician do a lot. And for some reason, maybe it's because he's the only Yoshi who's at that level, but iMusician is capable of taking out a lot of giants, right? iMusician walled quite a few Akumas on his own. The character can be extremely dangerous. Flash discourages strings. Like, the character is low-key, like, pretty overtuned. Well, not overtuned. What's the right word? I guess overpowered, but more in a technical sense, you know? Like, he's not overpowered as in he's too strong. He just has a lot of tools. The only issue is being good enough to use every single one of those tools. Because to play Yoshimitsu effectively, you have to be able to play Tekken effectively first, right? You have to have a good understanding of Tekken as a game. And then you need to understand playing basics with Yoshimitsu. Then you have to understand subverting those basics with Yoshimitsu, right? Because you don't play Yoshimitsu like anybody. Like, there's no character in the game that you could go, oh, this character is similar to Yoshimitsu. It's not a thing. It's just not a thing. So, but I think Yoshimitsu is super strong and has always been pretty strong. He's just too much work for the top level for anybody to actually want to play. But a lot of these characters aren't really a surprise, I feel like. Negan's been buffed a lot. His offense is really good. His defense is okay. But he's a really solid character. He's really strong. He can beat people down. Having an armored launcher is a really big help. I think it's called Intimidation Stance is really strong. The mix is crazy. His neutral is crazy. As I've said from the jump many times, I think that Negan is a much better Miguel. At first he wasn't. Now he definitely is. So, Drag. I wanted to put Drag in S tier at first, but the reason I don't think Drag is like S tier is because you really have to put in a lot of work with him. Like, I play with a homeboy that frequently uses Drag a lot. You're pretty much doing the same thing over and over again. You don't really have much mix. You're pretty much just tapping at your opponent and waiting for them to mess up. But from what I see, especially out of like JDCR, Drag's power hinges less on the character and more on you. If you can maneuver around and do everything correctly, then Drag will show it. Like, he's a very player indicative character, right? If you're good with Drag, or if you're good at the game, then you'll be good at Drag. But it requires a lot of stuff like instant runnings and instant wall standings, and it requires literally all of the little tech that like crouch dash canceling, stuff like that. It's all in Drag's kit. You have to know how to do it all. Like, he demands a mastery of fundamentals to be really strong. Like, at an absolute master level, he can definitely be S tier. Definitely S tier. Shaheen, I'll kind of explain more about him when I get to Claudio, obviously. Kunimitsu, very strong mix. Risky. I love this character. This is one of the characters I was hoping to get in here. When she got in here, I was like, I'm done with Tag 2 forever because now I have Kuni here. Kuni is really strong. Like I said, she has a lot of risk. So in order to really get going, you have to party a little bit. I would say she is the best party time character in the game. Like a character you can just kind of do stuff and just keep doing stuff. I think she's the best at it because her mix-ups are so tricky and semi-ambiguous. She has quick unblockable moves to set you up. So they're still pretty reactable. You just have to be careful and move well. But her movement is so good. Like, it's crazy. And her counter hits will hurt. So Kuni is pretty strong. Did Yoshi. Kazumi, obviously the queen of basics. Right? She's honestly a better armor king. Right? So, there's not much to say. We all know about Kazumi, right? She's Kazumi. She's really boring. You play Tekken. But her Tekken play is good enough to step on a lot of characters and a lot of players. I believe, in all honesty, that playing Kazumi, you don't have to do any real work. Kazumi can carry a lot of players because her Tekken game is so above average, right? Her playing the basics is so good. So she even though I don't have her any higher than A tier, she can definitely just carry a lot of players. Jack is another one of those basic characters. Except he has the range. The range, good damage, good throw game. If your movement is good, you've solved his one and only problem. He is a big character, so he takes more damage, but the character is still very good. The character got nerfed a few times. Anakin is still out there slapping folks with this character, so, I mean, come on, man. Like, this character is still very good. Bob got some pretty good buffs. I don't think he's exceptional, but I do think he's very strong now. He's a lot better than he used to be. He's got the movement with the wave dash. He can be oppressive. He's almost Tekken 6 Bob. Not quite there, but he's really close. He's really close. So he earns his spot in the A tier. I don't think he's quite S tier though. I think there's a few characters that do what he does or what he wants to do better. Lee, the only reason Lee is an A tier is because of execution. I don't think it's realistic for a Lee to be able to consistently execute his stuff to the level it needs to be S tier. But otherwise his keep out game is good. He has some of the best keep out in the game. Not absolutely the best, but he can be a really annoying character to get in on. So Master Raven, mix. All the ninjas I think are A tier. All the ninjas. Master Raven has really good mix, really good keep out, grab game, confusion. Like, she doesn't take as much work as like Yoshimitsu or Kuni, but she can definitely just mess you up out of nowhere because you'll always be looking for that one part in her string or her offense or whatever, and she'll just change it or do like an armor move from back turn or do a grab, and you're just like, well, can't block this, you know. Katarina before all these changes and additions of moves, I would have put her like B tier, but she's very strong. Long range normals, she can keep you at bay. Her keep out's really strong. She has a good hop kick, amazingly absurd damage. Her mix is a lot better because she's got safer stuff. Her jab strings are pretty good. Not much else to say. She's a very solid character, very strong. Ganryu's after fighting Ganryu's online and one of my homeboys, and of course watching Saint as well, I can see the weaknesses in this character. Right? The character's poke game is phenomenal. Some of the best poke game in the game. But it's not all. He's really gimmicky, honestly. He's got a bunch of gimmicky stuff. Having a 12 frame jab is not good, not great, but it's understandable for what else he has. So, but don't sleep. Like I said, his poke game is phenomenal. He has some deceptively long range pokes that will just hit you, and you just be like, "How'd that hit me?" You know. I know I do all the time. Like, how the heck did that hit me? You know what I'm saying? Brian has fallen from relevancy. Not from relevancy. He's less strong than I want him to be, I guess. Or at least the way I think I want him to be. I always want to say he's S tier because he always has taunt jet upper. Come on, unblockable launcher. His wall pressure is great. His defense is great. Just really high execution though. So doesn't mean he still can't work somebody over. I just think again, there's a character or two that runs his game plan a little bit better than him, so that's why he's down here. Lars is probably the most buff character in the game, and he will hurt you. He is quick. His offense is great now. His mix is great now. His whiff punishment has always been pretty good, but it's just as good now. He can carry you to the wall with pretty much one combo. He's really destructive now. But there are characters that still run his game plan better. Good old Harong, pretty much the king of offense, right? Like, when do you press, right? Is always the answer. But he does have some weaknesses. If you stay calm and just block him out, he's not really that much of a threat. But if you're just trying to get that hit and trying to stop him from doing certain things, like he's a knowledge check. I think he's a very specific knowledge check character, because if you can knowledge check his offense, it's not nearly as threatening as you think it is. But if you don't knowledge check everything he does, then you will get rolled. Like, even from one missed knowledge check, and you will get rolled. Like, it can be that daunting. All right. So S tier and top 5. So these are ordered. So let's start with Lily. Lily got some pretty good buffs, right? Like, really good buffs. Her neutral is really good. Her damage is really good. Her range is really good. Her mix is really good. She can keep you on defense for quite a while. And she has the best sidestep, I think. It may be tied or slightly lesser than Zafina, but before then, she and Katarina were tied with the best sidestep in the game. So, movement is on fleek. Haven't heard that one in a while, right? But, yeah, movement is great. Damage is great. Like, she's not really lacking in any departments anymore. But she's not quite above the rest of the guys, so we'll get to them. Paul is, like, significantly easier. He might be A tier if he still had the same difficulty he had in Tag 2, but this character just hits hard for no reason at all. He can be safe hitting you hard. He's got good pokes. Not really phenomenal pokes, but good pokes. But you don't really play Paul for pokes, right? You play Paul for, like, damage and the comeback factor, right? Once you hit rage, you get that cancel, and then you just blow them up, right? We've seen me do it so many times to so many people. The character is just super duper duper strong. And because of that, Marduk, right after him, is a little bit higher, because he can do the same thing better. And he has better range. He has not as good pokes, but he's, god dog, man, the damage is crazy. The damage is absurd. It is high. His grab games are threatening. He's got combo grabs that are easy to perform. He can put you in so many bad situations, right? We've seen this type of stuff from the John, from Joey Fury. Like, this character will just kill you out of nowhere. So it's really dangerous to mess around and do bad things against his character. So you have to be really careful. Feng Wei, I personally think Feng Wei has always been one of the absolute most slept on characters in the game. I've thought this character was so powerful, like so powerful, and I just until golly, I can't remember his name. I think he's Pakistan. He played Fang in the WUFL. I can't remember his name. I'll know it as soon as I finish this video, but. That player really shows how strong I think Fang is. Fang has always been super strong. He's a balanced character tuned up. You know, the jack of all trades, master of none. He's a jack of all trades, master of all. Like, everything he does is good. But it's not broken. Like, it's beatable, but everything he does is good. He's got exceptional movement, exceptional buttons, exceptional pokes, exceptional throw game. You have to watch out for literally everything. Literally everything, and it's so difficult, right? Alyssa, also another slept-on character back in the day. Movement is great. Chain shenanigans. Cuddlecore rocks out with this character. NG Obscure rocks out with this character. I think Arslan messed around with this character a little bit, but she's just good. It's just really good. She can just kill you. Her neutral is really strong. Her pokes are really strong. Her defense is really strong. Her offense is really strong. Everything's just really strong. Right? Like, the throw game, the crouch mix, the hell sweep, that's actually pretty seeable, honestly. She's a gimmick character with a really strong gimmick in her chains, right? So there's a lot of stuff that she will knowledge check you for, but she doesn't have to. She can just aggress you with buttons. Bink, 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 bink. Back one, I think it is. Back one, the little slap that puts her in crouch. She can do some while standing shenanigans. If you press a button, you get hit, you get juggled. I think the only weakness in the character is her juggles can be awkward. But, really strong. Law. I think Law is better than these characters simply because people have started underrating him again, but Law has a super duper easy mode with punish in 3+4, right? And the 4 follow-up, is it 4 or is it 3? It's one of those two. But you just kick, and then you're in, right? Super easy with punish. Forward 12, really good for enacting your pressure, making people respect your turn. Down forward 2, keep people out. Good mix. The only thing that really sets this character back, so to speak, is people's familiarity with him, and the execution can be daunting in stuff like doing instant while standing 4 into dragon's stance into stuff, which that is really strong sequence. That sequence alone could put this character A tier without looking at anything else. But I just think it's the execution factor, man, that makes it tough. Like, it's a pretty quick and demanding execution too. I think Jin is actually he's basic-ish, but he's got Mishima qualities. Like, he's kind of like Feng Wei in that he has an answer for everything. But I think the both electrics help him out quite a bit to control space a little bit better. So his whiff punish game, his damage is really high. Has a pretty solid rage drive. Has a high rage art as well. Alyssa does too, but His Rage Art does pretty good damage. Obviously, the godlike parry is what gets him above the other characters that are like him. The parry can just literally turn whatever your opponent throws into a whiff, basically, and then you just launch him for it. So he's a very dangerous character to fight against. I hate dealing with him. Just all around super duper 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 solid. He's probably the only basics character that is that I think you could pick up and just get better as you play. Right. Like I think all the rest of the basic characters you can get better with too, like Armor King, Kazumi. I think even Fang Wei is a good beginner character. Jack, Shaheen. But I think this character, like, it will really reflect your growth. Like, you don't even have to use any of the technical stuff with them to start getting good. And then once you incorporate everything else, you just continue to grow. Like, the character is very responsive to you. A lot like, shoot, who did I say that about earlier? Can't remember. But yeah, the character is very responsive to your play and how you grow as a player. Kazuya Kuwabara, aka Big Kaz, aka Big Cheese, aka my main in Smash. Alright, so we all know he has literally the best electric in the game. No contest. He's the only one that can throw it at 13 frames. He's probably the king of space control. There's only one character I think better than him at controlling space because of that electric, personally. His mix is unseeable for the most part. He has tons of damage. Like, I cannot overstate this enough. Tons of damage. His mix has been made better. Movement is crazy. People argue that he needs like a better mid, but I say why? Like, most of his single hits hit like a truck anyway, and just keep him on advantage. So I feel like if you mix properly, you will roll whoever you're fighting. The only thing is, like, at the top level, most people don't like to high roll like that. But you watch somebody like Boa Love, who's churning electrics and continuously high rolling, and he just runs over whoever he fights just because of that. So I think this character is incredibly strong. So my boy Claudio, I gotta give him a potato. I'll give you a potato. Just get y'all know. But yeah. So he's a better Shaheen. I've always thought this. Most people would put Shaheen above Claudio. I think Claudio's just better. He's easier. Hop kick is godlike. His combos do a lot of damage for not a lot of work. Obviously, Shadow does amazing work with this character. This character has great buttons, good little small pokes, a lot of counter hit setups, good offense, great defense. You can step out of some situation. You can pretty much mash hop kick in a lot of situations, honestly, and just beat people for it. Has a decent grab mix. Like, the character can do a lot with not a lot, Like, hop kick alone being in his arsenal will make you think twice, right? Back one, back two, both good moves, both great moves, actually. Just to catch you moving. Just to lock you up. Running 2. Is it running 2? I think it's running 2. Is really strong. Plus on block, high. But he's got ways to mix that up with forward 4. I think it is. The little lunging knee. Really good. I think it's forward 3 as well. That's his tailspin. That tracks. If he catches you stepping, it'll tailspin you immediately. He gets a combo. Starburst in general is really, really powerful. Sets him up with a lot of things. Give him way more combo opportunities and way more setups. He's honestly a pretty overloaded character with Starburst, low-key. But speaking of overloaded, we're moving on to King. King legit has everything. He legit has everything. He has a throw game. He has decent combos. He has high damaging combos, great wall combos. Right? He's a very combo centric character, I think, because he can do all that. You have to worry about the grabs. You have to worry about his pokes. You have to worry about his some of his strings. He's a very threatening character. There's not much else to say. Like he can just do it all, right? His only weakness is that he can be stepped quite a bit. Leroy. People sleep on Leroy because he's got all those nerfs, but Leroy's still a very powerful character. He's again another one of those characters that have everything. I think he's unironically the second best Mishima in the game. His Hell Sweep is better than most Mishimas. His combo game is really good. Hermit Stance is a menace to deal with. Pokes are really strong. Counter hit game is really strong. His once around move is really cool, or once a game move is pretty cool. Parry is godlike. Like, this character still has a lot of decent guard point stuff. Like, the character is still very powerful. Like, I don't understand why people sleep on this character. Zafina, literally the best movement in the game. Uncontestable. Very threatening moves at various ranges. This character is just annoying, man. The movement alone honestly puts her up here, and then her mix makes it even worse. Combos are really strong. She does a lot of damage. Quite a bit higher than her Tag 2 iteration or her Tekken 6 iteration. So, very strong character. There's not really much to say about that. The movement really makes her outshine a lot of the other characters. Akuma, my main man. Okay? So here's the deal. Because I know a lot of people will come at me for this and be like, no, Akuma's top 5 back in the game. No. Akuma has been nerfed entirely too much. Entirely too much. Right? All these death combos and stuff you see, or getting too tapped into death, those are situations that can be easily avoided if you understand the character. I think Akuma has gotten by being top 1 mostly because people don't know the matchup. And you can only really get the matchup in Pakistan to get a good matchup. Right? To face like a Weiss Hani or what's his name? Farzine or something like that. But the character is very strong. I'm not foolish enough to believe he's less than top 10. Like, he's definitely top 10. The character still played at the absolute max level has the potential to consistently be the best in the game, but I don't think it's possible to play him at the 100% max level anymore. Like, obviously, a Weiss Hani shows that he can play Akuma at his absolute maximum potential, but even then, I think there are characters that do better than him. Like, honestly, I would probably put Zafina ahead of him, but I have a few reasons as to why. Actually, you know what? Zafina is better. Honestly. Because Akuma's movement is not that good, and a lot of the stuff he does is unsafe. But that's one thing people don't realize. A lot of Akuma's stuff is unsafe, and they're just not punishing it. Like, I've watched several matches and heard several influencers talk about how much they know about how to play against the character, and then I watch them play against the character, and they just immediately miss like 5 or 6 full punishes in the beginning of the game. And I'm like, you don't know how to play against this character. So, I think that has a lot to do with it. Steve! I think Steve is still top 10. People are like, oh, he just got nerfed and all that. What do you mean? This character still will destroy you. Back 1 is still a menace. Down forward 2 is still a menace. The stance canceling, the safety, the damage, the wall carry, the flexibility, the options, the grab game, the mix-up, the lows. He got a new low. The strings. This character literally has everything and movement. The only reason he's above Zafina is because Steve will literally make you second guess every single button you think about pressing. It's like, I'm gonna swing here, wait, no, I might get back one. Then he back ones and stance cancel it though. So like, even when you want to try to punish him for something, oh, too bad, stance cancel. What you gonna do? Characters OD, bro. Top 5. Falkenraum is still extremely annoying. He has the best range in the game, I think, in like close-ish quarters. He's the only character I know of that can straight up play a mid-range game. I think he's better. He's a better Feng Wei, right? Very strong. A lot of his stuff is unsafe, but he can throw them at a range where you really can't do anything about it. A lot of damage, tricky guard setups, unblockables that he can set up that if you're not paying attention you'll get smacked by. We know JDCR has a pocket one of these, and this character still will destroy you in a lot of places. He's just not as brain dead as he was before, so, but he's very much so still a powerful character. Very powerful character. I think easily stronger than most, if not all, the characters below him. I think he just beats everybody below him, to be quite honest. Like, he might struggle with the characters that, he might struggle a little bit with, like, Steve, because of Steve's counter hit game. And he might struggle a little bit with Mishima's because of electrics. But ultimately, this character doesn't really have a weakness. Julia does not have to play neutral. That is the main reason she's up here. Julia does not have to play neutral. She has the lunge punch. She has party crasher. This character, the down forward one move. The character does not have to play neutral at all. She can just force her way in and start her offense. Her defense is pretty good too. Right? She can control the pace at any point in time. She can dictate what you do as well as how she does it. Right? That's messed up, ain't it? She can dictate what you do depending on how she does it. Right? And it's very easy to run this character. Her combo damage is really high. Her wall carry is really good. The grab game. So many, like, knockdown follow-up situations that favor her, that you get into a mix-up on. The character's OD. Massively OD. Again, a character that I don't think has a weakness. Lydia is, at first I thought she was like A tier, but after seeing what she can do more and more, especially from like Gen, this character is definitely top 5. This character's weakness is that her lows aren't that great, but she has a hell sweep that's still unseeable and does a lot of damage. So her neutral is phenomenal. Her neutral is equal with Julia's, but where Lydia shines the most, I think, is the fact that she gets a mix-up off of a jab. Right? She gets stance mix off of a jab string. Her mix in general is pretty good from stances. She's been nerfed, not recently, but she's been nerfed in some situations because she was annoyingly oppressive. Still annoyingly oppressive. She can also just force the neutral a lot like Julia can, so character is obscenely strong. She has a lot of cheeky stuff that will just, you just be like, wow, she gets all of that. And yeah, she does. Big Geese. I've preached to the choir about this character. This is the strongest meter character in the game. Okay? This character is stronger than Akuma. This character is easily stronger than Aleza. Okay? This is the strongest meter character in the game. Period. This character is better than the characters before him. Because guess what? Try to force your turn against this character so he can BAP! Got a bar? Bink, 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 bink. EX Moon Slicer to the wall. wall combo does 1,000,000,000 damage. Oh, guess wrong. You're dead. The difference between all the other meter characters, the other meter characters low-key need 2 bars to do something insane. Geese needs 1. The parries, the most powerful parries in the game, easily, super easily. Very solid fundamentals, very good basics, very good generics. Like, there's nothing Geese is lacking, except excitement, maybe. Like, he's kind of boring to me. Like, I know he's super good. I just find him less exciting to play than Akuma. So, but the character is top 5. I think he's the second best character in the game. And of course, Devil Jin. This is the literal jack of all trades, master of all trades, right? He is a better Fang Wei, a better Fakumra. There's nothing this character doesn't have. He has electric at his back to control space. He has up forward 4, great crushing mid that starts a combo. His Hell Sweep starts a combo. It's an unseeable combo starter right away, right? He has long range pokes. He has good mid range. He does actually have to play some neutral, but if you whiff, you get launched because of electric. Great counter hit combos, counter hit setups, great plus frames, great options. He has the laser scraper to stop you from stepping, broken plate long range low, down forward 2 long range low. Great sidestep options. If he catches a sidestep and you're caught lacking, you get launched and get hit for 1,000,000,000 damage. The back 2-1, is that what it is? Back 2-1, hold up forward combo, exceptional damage, right? Gives him a whole new era of wall combo ability and finishing combos as well. He's just good. I don't know what other explanation. He's just good. So, all right, y'all. That is my Tekken 7 tier list. Let me know in the comments below where you think a character should have been and why. But until next time, I will catch you later.